The death-defying object of Bitcoin has finally come to a black swan potential event. I'm just kidding. I don't know if it's a black swan event, but all I can say is that this is the most amount of volume that I have seen. I got blown out of my trades. I got absolutely wrecked out of my trades. So I should have put liquidity back in at that level right at the bottom because ironically, you can see here that that candle wicked all the way down to the 618, all the way pretty much down to 49,000, which is something that I did call on my video to you in this section. So I will leave that video pinned in the card above for you. And if you haven't seen it, go check that out. It's really awesome. So welcome back to the Crypto Bliss show this evening tonight. And thank you for being here with me tonight. I got wrecked in my trade, so I ain't going to be trading anything. You see, I actually bought some more. I bought some more when it was falling. Then we had this massive, massive candle down here. So I got absolutely wrecked. You can see I got stopped out because obviously there's where my stop loss was. What? Bam! Out, wrecked. But you would have asked me, well, why wouldn't I have put in another position back in somewhere here at the bottom if I thought it was going to go up there and now I would be up like 10% on my trade? Well, you know, if the market was essentially pushed down outwardsly of this very steep downsloping channel already, you know, it could have gone anyway, really. But of course, here we were struggling. We saw the signs of it struggling right here. And we should have known that with this wicking candle down and a very strong pullback up, oh my goodness me, well, that was a signal to tell us that we would continue the pattern down. And truthfully said, this looks like it wants to continue down, not necessarily all the way. I think we have bottomed out here at this point. But once again, I think we can delve into that as we cruise along in the video here. You can see here that this breakout level that I've been speaking about for a tremendously long amount of time is very much coinciding with this beautiful upsloping trend right here on Bitcoin, as we have had ever since the bottom of Bitcoin. Okay, all the way down here at 15,000 with the nice rounding of the cup at the bottom. Then a break up, pull down, break up, a pull down, a break up, a pull down, a break up, a pull down. Guess what? A break up. And look how volatile the pull downs are getting. Okay, so yes, shit, we are down like 20 grand from the all-time high. But what can I say to you right now is that very simply put, I did pre-warn you for a number of weeks that we could be expecting a potentially up to 45% drawdown on Bitcoin. Imagine what that would have done to the altcoins. Hence, me saying to you that this is something that we could have potentially been expecting if we knew that there was a level of resistance previously shown to you, as I've mentioned in my yellow. Okay, all the charts are pretty much the same as you can see here, except they on each charts are different horizontal levels, different diagonal levels, and these show you particular points where we could see the charts wick to, the candles wick to, and unfortunately this head and shoulders pattern here is now invalidated because of this very sharp move to the downside, and we have basically created a lower low. But as I just showed you, we are creating a very long extended bull flag pattern. Now, one thing to remember is that generally what we like to see is that as long as this takes, okay, we could essentially see the sum, and let's pull this from there to there, 158 days. Okay, you could see that this could give us some sort of massive move to the upside that would be equally in the horizontal length that it takes the time to get out of this pattern. That would be something very interesting to see. Previously shown to you, that target was this length here from the entire bull flag, essentially, that we're busy building from all that time ago, all the way up to about 120, 124, 125,000. What do you think Bitcoin is going to hit this cycle? And by when? I'd like to know when, because currently we're in August. Can you believe we're 3/4 now? Now we're in quarter 3 for the year 2024. That's pretty darn amazing. And I can say to you that when I open my eyes and I really look at the long term of Bitcoin, all I can say is that it just continues to go up and up and up and up. Yes, there's volatile days. Yes, there's volatile weeks. Yes, there's volatile months. But guess what? The volatility is applied to actually both sides of the scale, to the downside and to the upside. What would the potential of the upside swing be if there was not a downside to re-enter back in at one last opportunity, right? So why not? And I must say to you that this is going to unfold dramatically right here, because between now and this point here is possibly another like 90 odd days, 90 odd days or so. I could say to you that within 90 odd days, I can't guarantee you, I can't put my cock on the block for it, but what I can do is I can actually say to you right now that in all history of this specific chart, and I need to refresh this chart for us, in all history of this chart, I have shown you that on average it takes us about 200 odd days to get out of the previous all-time high on Bitcoin, which we've already broken out of, except this time round, the difference between that and now, if we have a look at the monthly time frame here, is that it has only gone up. Why would we not pull back? I mean, this was constituted as a bear market, essentially, right? So guess what? 200 days, we pumped, and we made our way all the way up to very much close to the 4236 level every single time, okay? And this 426 level brings us up to about 242,000 Bitcoin, essentially from where we're at today at about 54,000. That takes us up 5x in our biggest asset in crypto. Ha! Ha! So absolutely and incredibly beautiful. Would you not say so? As you can see here, my personal target is 300,000. In fact, I'm going to put 300,333 cents. How about that? That'll be my personal target for Bitcoin for October 2025. Do I believe it's going to hit anytime sooner than that? No, not quite. I do want to say to you something though. Even though we've had this absolutely dramatic fall, look at the volume on the monthly time frame. And yes, we've just started the month, but look at the monthly time frame and the volume. The volume is so small right now that's really insignificant. However, if we do start to go down to things like the weekly looks kind of like sell pressure is diminishing at the moment, and we've just started this week. Isn't that very interesting? Because that happened overnight. Look at this level that we were heavily rejected from, pretty much at the 69. We failed that level, and therefore Bitcoin had an instantaneous crash of approximately 30 freaking %. So if you have not yet bought this very beautiful bouncing area here right now, I don't know what to do for you, because the level is a down sloping, broadening wedge pattern. What does this mean? 100% of the time, this wedge pattern is bullish, extremely bullish. So let this thing fall out the sky. Just be prepared to buy back at the levels. I did say to you that we would come down to 49. And ironically, look at the down sloping trend here. Look at the two different levels that we're essentially hitting, because there's a level there, there's a level there, and it would have essentially pulled down there. Then that level to that level to that level. And look at what we've pulled up. Right back up above my white box, which I described to you in this video. Go check that video out for now. All right, anyways, enough having fun in that moment. Look at what we have to do now. Look at all of the gains we have to regain. All right, are you excited or are you not? Because since I've been showing you that now or never, just like in the title of the video, is the time to buy these assets. Considering they are on a massive discount today, you're going to want to sell your gold, your silver, your laptop, your cell phone. I'm just kidding. Don't sell those things because those are what you need to trade crypto with. Use my Bybit link down below. Get yourself up to $30,000 deposit bonus and come and trade with me. You can do it on spot. You can do derivatives. You can do whatever you like. I got stopped out. My general rule of thumb in my personal trading diary is when you get stopped out, don't go and revenge trade. Just take a moment or two, a day or two's breath. Let the markets recoup while they do that. There's always going to be trading opportunity, whether it's in Bitcoin or other altcoins. And I will, of course, share those trades when I do them once again down the line of the week for you. So make sure to hit that notification bell on the channel so that you know when I release those videos, because there's so much more to share with you. Now, as I've said to you, the price of Bitcoin in dollars continues, of gold in Bitcoin is gone down, and the price of it in fiat has gone up. The same like housing, the same like any of them. Excuse me. That's a cannabis yawn right there. All right, so let's get on to the high-tech energy right here. Did you give me cannabis, by the way? Oh, is that so? Yeah, talking to my brother. He's actually officially up here with me in Johannesburg here, and we are beasting our sessions out, and we're doing a whole bunch of things together. But if you are subscribed to our channels and all of the rest, I will leave those links down below for you. You can go and check those out, follow our journeys, and see what it is that we're doing as serial entrepreneurs right down here in the tippy tip of the continent of Africa. We are very much Africans. Okay, so how many Satoshis are in Bitcoin? Well, if you didn't know this previously, one Bitcoin equals 100 million Satoshis. That means there are 8 zeros, and now you need to recognize what those zeros are and why it would be very important to do your absolute best to get one Bitcoin would be absolutely phenomenal. But please remember that only 21 million people can own one Bitcoin. And I already own quite a chunk of Bitcoin. I don't own more than one yet. I'm working hard because, unfortunately, I was one of the victims. I don't classify myself as a victim. You risk your money in a certain place and it gets taken. You didn't do your due diligence. That's the price you pay. So I know that with Celsius, and who knows? Hopefully, I will get the money back. But I ain't holding on to it. I'm already well investing into these assets and have invested and diversified multiple altcoin assets. Although I'm going to show you something right now, a little bit later on in the video, that is going to tell us that we could be potentially in the worst position ever for altcoins against Bitcoin right now. Starting off with the Bitcoin dominance, we can see that the Bitcoin dominance, and I did actually say this to you, that it was undoubtedly going to happen. And look what we did. We've broken that high 2 days in a row now, although we're a little bit under it. So cool. Let us pull back. But I believe that Bitcoin dominance, especially considering the ETFs and all that is unfolding, that Bitcoin dominance would essentially make its way up to potentially the 61, maybe the 62% target. Because guess what? Previously, it has never failed to reach those levels. Boom, 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 and boom. Okay, so I have said this. That still leaves us like another 4 to 5% upwards on Bitcoin dominance. That means that much more of the liquidity that comes into the crypto space will end up sitting in Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, Bitcoin is the #1 asset, and it just is that because you can already see that even though the market cap that I continuously show you on the channel says that by total liquidity in the asset, gold is the highest #1 asset. But that will soon be chewed up and spat out, which means by Bitcoin, which means that that is going to become, Bitcoin will become the #1 asset on this planet. And in my personal view, it already is. It just hasn't taken place on its throne in its rightful position as the king of assets on this planet. So with that being said, you can see here right now that 1 million Satoshis will give you 0.01 BTC. I'm pretty confident that not too long ago, I did a very, very cool video for you right here, Bitcoin Millionaire, and how to retire by Bitcoin by 2027 and how much Bitcoin you actually need. I've done this a number of times for you on this channel. And just by having even 100,000 Satoshis, we're going to do some calculations for you today. All right, we're going to go and have a look at CoinGecko in a moment. But 0.01, that's 100,000 Satoshis, is 1,000th of a Bitcoin. Hence why you would only need $62 potentially to become a millionaire sometime down in the future. But that's only possible if you watch that video right there and find out exactly how. So I'll leave that pinned in the cards for you as well. Now, 1 Satoshi equals 100 millionth of a BTC. Nobody's going to buy 0.01 Satoshi. Although, at some point in the future, that 0.0801 Satoshi is going to be worth mega cash. So let's go and do some math right now, because 0.1 BTC will cost us $5,450. I'm pretty confident most of you over a year can find that. That'll make you a millionaire undoubtedly in the near future. Okay, 0.1 would cost you $545. Okay, and that will also still make you a millionaire. And one last potential one of 54 or 1,000th of a Bitcoin, okay, would be able to convert for you into a millionaire status. That could be who knows what time frame, but if you go and watch that video right there, plus this very, very awesome video I left for you regarding our Bitcoin price. Where was it? Here. I think it's here. Where did I say that? This is where I actually said to you that Bitcoin could there you go. Boom, that video right there. This is my Bitcoin target for this cycle. Crazy. Is that thumbnail for real? Well, go and find out and watch that video. All right. So you can go and see how to become absolutely and infinitely wealthy. With that being said, you can see here now how many addresses own that 1/10,000th of a Bitcoin, okay, is about 5,686 addresses, which is about 9.3 of the total Bitcoin addresses. And guess what? If you've been with me on the channel for the last 4-5 years, okay, and been investing in Bitcoin, you undoubtedly have to have at least a very much minimum between the 1,000th of a level to the 10,000th of a level, and that makes up for about 19% of the total addresses in the market. If you own 0.001 to 1,000th, you are part of 25%. If you own 0.01, you're part of 22% of Bitcoin addresses. I am in the next category and beyond, and I hope you are too, and that equals part of 6.5% of the world. Because I don't know about you, but right now, you can't own as many Bitcoin as a nation state. You can't own as many Bitcoin as MicroStrategy has unless you are an absolute infinite trillionaire and you decide to buy all the Bitcoin up right now, which I doubt that's going to happen, because that equals drying up all of the OTC, which the OTC just happens to be so dried up already. And there's only about 5% of the Bitcoin left out there in the space. So with that being said, those of you who own 1 to 10 Bitcoin could classify yourself as part of the 1.58% of the world's population. And that is approximately 2,131,000 Bitcoin that have been in distribution. So basically what we're seeing here is the lower you go down and the more Bitcoin there is 0% chance that you will own this much Bitcoin in the future. This many, which is 0%, probably a lot less than that, okay, own about $40 billion of the net worth of Bitcoin. That is mad. Look at the amount that this diminishes to. 100,000 to 1 million Bitcoin. 3 addresses. I'm sure this has changed over the last last 6 months or so because of everything that has been happening in crypto. But look at the different classes and categories of people. Now, this is going to be fun, this next exercise. But first of all, before I show you that exercise, Bitcoin price predictions from a number of the sources. So you keep an eye out on the sources. Bitwise predicts 80,000 this year. BitMEX thinks $1 million this year. CoinCodex 100,000, 25, 177. Bitcoin 69 and 250. Van Eck 48 and 160. So interesting. Van Eck 48, right? Didn't we just hit 48? That's what I've just been saying to you. Look at that. 48, 49. It's 49K. I just said that to you. Okay. And 160 grand. I think 300 grand is more like the scenario, which gives us like a 6x in Bitcoin actually. Robert Kiyosaki believes 120K this year. Adam Back 100K. Techopedia 80K. Standard Chartered 120. Stock to flow model, which we are going to have a look at in a short moment. 185K this year. And possibly 448K next year. A lot more in alignment with my personal targets in Bitcoin and crypto. Now, the rainbow chart predicting about 331,000, possibly at an average of 175 in 24, and about 440 in the year 2025. Very, very beautiful. CryptoCon, 138K in 25. CoinShare, 141K. If ETF approved, the ETF is approved. Kathy Wood hasn't given her predictions, although Kathy Wood does predict that by the year 2030, that Bitcoin will be well worth over $1 million as the base case. Now, let's remember that that's just kind of 5.3 years. Okay. Tim Draper, 87K. So I don't know what your thoughts are about this, but all I can say to you is that regardless of what it's done, okay, over this moment, every single year that Bitcoin has been around, and that is now for like 13, 14, 15 years, okay? 2009, the lowest price, the highest price, and the average price. So the lowest price in 2009 was here you go. Highest price was 0.00. Imagine you bought 21 million Bitcoin at that price. That would have cost you like $21,000 to buy all of the Bitcoin at that point, okay? Back in 2009, $21,000, and Bitcoin is now a $1 trillion asset. If you owned all of that Bitcoin now, then you would be the trillionaire today. So don't kick yourself in the ass. Just do what you need to do today to make a success for the best of your potential future. And this is why what I'm about to show you is going to freak the socks off of you. But 2010, we then came up to 1,000. Look at where we came. We literally like 10,000 x'd on Bitcoin in 1 year. Okay. We then did another 1,000x a year later. We then did a 50% drop in the bear market. We then did another like 150 odd X, 100X in the year after. We then did a little bit of a pullback, like by 30%, then a 50% pullback, then a 50% jump, then a 20X up. Then we remained the same. We pulled back like 30, 40%. Then we jumped up by 100%. Then we jumped up by another 120%. Then we fell down by ever so slightly, like 30%. Oh, and then we jumped up in 2023. It went down in 23 and 24 right now, where we're sitting today on the Bitcoin price is currently 54,577. The beautiful, ugly dollars, which means that in 2024, currently we are much higher. And the high in 2024 was 74K. And the low in 2024 is probably like maybe 20K odd. Okay. At the beginning of the year, I think that's where we were on the 20K mark. Let's go and see here for one incy-wincy, tiny little moment right here. The low for the year, there you go. The low for the year was at 38K. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but I've noticed, looking at this chart, that I've seen it increase every single freaking year, besides for some pullback years in the bear markets. That's just what has to happen. But we went from the highest price being 0.3099 all the way to this year's price being $74,064. Let's go and get a calculator, and actually let's just calculate what that freaking looks like for you guys. 74,064 divided by 0.00099. Who's going to guess what this multiplier has been for Bitcoin over the last 15 years? 3, 2, 1. Boom! Bitcoin has done a 75 million X in 15 years. I wonder why that's possible. Well, if you watched that video, I would tell you why it's possible. Because the printers are just printing. And I think because Trump is potentially going to be the winning candidate of the cycle. Not that I care about politics or any of that rubbish, because politics are poly being many, ticks being blood-sucking creatures that bite into your skin and eat your blood and deposit a virus into you. Okay, a virus mentally through their social platforms and all of their rubbish. All I can say to you right now is that you should not be brainwashed. You should subscribe to my channel and make sure that we are in this game together, making sure that we are protecting our lives and the lives of our families by investing in Bitcoin using my Bybit link down below, my Bitflex link down below, up to $128,000 in bonuses. Imagine using $128,000. You can get 3 Bitcoin right now. Just about. Just under 3 Bitcoin right now, like 2.6 Bitcoin. Why would you not get that for yourself? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's move on from this, because the stock to flow model, okay, if you are not doing this now, you are never going to do this. And this is going to scare you, because you can never own more Bitcoin than somebody who bought Bitcoin down here and has held it. You will never own more Bitcoin than that person. It's just what it is, okay? Don't care if you're a billionaire in this point in time. If somebody bought 10,000 Bitcoin down here and they're holding on to that, even if they got 1,000 Bitcoin, they're in another league. My personal goal in my life will be to have 100 Bitcoin and be able to pass that Bitcoin somewhat down to my family, because what it is that I've shown to you here in terms of what one Bitcoin is worth 100 million Satoshis is going to blow your mind away when you go and watch that video, because I showed you in that video the comparison and here the comparison to actually how much Bitcoin you will need, because of the way that they print money to become a financially, you'll never have to work again in your life if you have just 0.0001 Bitcoin. And that is very interesting, right? So stock to flow model believes that right now, and just something that I want to point out to you here on just the bottom and where the bottoms coincide with. So the bear market coming up in the green. Stock to flow. The moment we break up in the red, boom, above the level, it continues up into the red. Back down into the bear market, back into the green, back up. We started the rally. We started the rally here. We broke down, we retested. And guess what? Even though we were rising in price here, this was the only time that we saw a move under on the variance model, which is the model variance, excuse me, which essentially is telling us that these are where we need to, where the market pumps or where the market actually just dumps. So it's giving us an average of where the market heads. So if we're looking at where we're at right now, we could essentially be riding up this pattern and this wave right here on the price. Like I've always said, that this cycle looks a lot more like 27, a combination of 27 and 2013. To me personally, I don't know what you think. Let me know down below. But I would say that that's going to look a lot more like that, which means that we could literally pull down here while creeping up here. And we could essentially, by 19th of April, according to the stock to flow model, reckons that we'll be at 400. Happy 420. All right. So the Bitcoin Cycle Master, however, has a somewhat different observation. You can see here, we pump always to the red, then the lines catch up. We have a break in the bear market, and we pump up to the red, we capitulate, pump up to the red, capitulate, pump up to the red, capitulate, red, capitulate. We're pumping up right now, and unfortunately, this doesn't have the as high expectations. However, what I do want to say to you is that this chart does not go beyond 2024, unfortunately, or the current state which we're at right now. But if we were to look at what Bitcoin's overvalued price would be, that would be approximately at a $156,000. Okay, that would be up there right now. But guess what? It isn't up there. It's actually 1/3 down from there. So Bitcoin's price is actually undervalued. According to this model, and we're down a little bit at the 50,000, so we would probably be a lot more down towards this, a little bit underneath this purple level right here right now. And every time we did come underneath the purple level, we did actually fall down a little bit more. So are we in a bear market, or are we in another massive accumulation phase? You let me know down below what your thoughts are. Well, the 200-week moving average heat map. Well, let's have a look at what this looks like, because when we see here, the BTC price is the gray line. The 200-week moving average is this nice blue line. The dots are the heat map and the percentage monthly increase of week over the 200-week moving average. So when it's in the blue or cold or in the bear market, the winter, which is crypto winter, or any market winter when it's a bear market, that's what it's referred to as, then we are in the blue dots. But once we start to print these other colored dots, it tells us that we start to go into overheated territory. Look what happened here. We went into red, sell some, take some profits. Oh boy, then we went into the yellow and then into the green. That's telling us to buy more right now. What the heck is going on here? I thought we just had red at the same level. Well, guess what? Boom, boom, boom. And you start to push your way up into the color, back into the red. From here to there, went straight from this orange right into the red peak. Out. Get out. It's telling you to get out. The heat map is not wrong. The charts do not lie. I have said this to you countless times. They can be manipulated, just as though today's chart is being unfortunately manipulated with the dumping of BTC on purpose. I don't know who the fuck is dumping BTC 40% today, but we do know that this can happen in this market, and that's why you are best prepared, because all the altcoins in the market, of course, are bleeding so badly today that I'm going to get to the point in a moment. All right, so drawing back to the average heat map, okay, you can see here that blue pump, blue, this one didn't even make it into the red, which means that there was a lot of suppressed energy and manipulation at this point. Well, I wonder why. Well, that's because that's when the perpetuals ETF, Bitcoin ETF was released, and then this is where we saw FTX, and guess what? That's the first time that it's come under the 200 moving average like this. This time it bounced on it, went under briefly and pulled back up immediately. This has stayed under for some weeks here, and now we are pushing towards the blue territory. You cannot even imagine where we are going to be looking at going forward, way beyond these 100K levels, is all I can say. The golden ratio multiplier, however, also unfortunately does not believe in the same methodology. Right now it says that if Bitcoin was at 99%, that would be the 2 potential bull high, which could essentially top Bitcoin out at that level. Now, do I think it's going to go to that level? No, because look at all of our other moving averages. We got way above the red in every single one of them. Okay, and I have no doubt that we will continue to essentially do the same here, bringing us to miles high above those levels. And why is that? Well, because Bitcoin global liquidity, M2 versus Bitcoin price, this is M2, and look at what M2 does. $58 trillion. Then it drops down when they start pulling it out. That's the moment the bear market, the moment they start pulling money out the market, bear market, sell your trades. Okay. Then it bounces off the bottom here. Guess what? They start to tell you they're not going to do anything, or they're going to hold, which is what happened to Bitcoin all the way back down here and this wonderful support level on the Bitcoin price. Now this brings liquidity right back in, and guess what? The liquidity breaks a new all-time high and goes all the way up to $61 trillion. That's an extra $3 trillion into the market within a span of 2 years, between 2014 and 2016, basically. Well, then we had a little pullback. Nothing really happened on the Bitcoin price. We actually just continued to rally all the way up, and all the way up to 2018. Because of the way that they were printing money, it just continued to print. Look at the way that they printed this last batch, and look at the way that that made Bitcoin pump to the sky and beyond. I wonder if the same is going to happen this cycle, because now the printers are really turned on. If you've seen the US debt clock, as I've shown you countless times. Well, and guess what? When they paused and then they started to ease, and then guess what? It fell back into a bear market. And then when they said, oh shit, we need to raise the interest rates raise the market again, boom, boom, boom. Look what happened. Okay. Then we had a small, tiny pause here and a little drop. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Then it hit another bottom. Oh, look at us. We're increasing M2 supply until M2 supply at the peak of the previous cycle actually reached a total of $93 freaking trillion. So from $93 trillion, literally 10 years later, okay, to the peak over there, it's $59 trillion versus here, it's 93. That's $50 trillion. They've added double in the last 10 years of M2 liquidity. Okay, that is ludicrous. $50 trillion into the space. Sorry, where the fuck has $50 trillion gone to? Where? Because if I could tell you what $1 billion looks like, you wouldn't even believe your eyes. $1 million, you're going to need what do you call this thing? A crate. A crate. You're going to need an entire crate, shipping crate. Okay. That's what you're going to need for $1 million. Imagine what you're going to need for $1 billion. Okay. All right. Maybe like an entire boat. I don't know. You let me know. But $50 trillion. Where's it gone? Squandered into nothingness. Well, we know it's not nothingness because empires are challenging. But I want to share something very enlightening with you. My first purchase of Bitcoin ever happened to be the 31st of the 12th, okay, of 2020. Ironically, that was the moment that I purchased, the December 31st. Let's just say I purchased only $1, which I know that I didn't do that. I actually purchased a couple $1,000s of Bitcoin at that point. I purchased $1 of Bitcoin at that point. And if I sell, which just by the way, I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin. I'll sell all my altcoins, but I'm not selling my Bitcoin. At 2033, at the same time, at the end of August, what will my return on interest be? Let's go and have a little bit of a squiz here. So if you invested $1 into Bitcoin in 2020, which was 4 years ago, $1 worth of Bitcoin would have appreciated by 6,800%, and you would have $68.63 worth of Bitcoin at that 2033 point. Okay, that is phenomenal appreciation for an asset that is deemed to be dead, dying, whatever people want to create FUD about it. But that, of course, and undoubtedly is not the truth. So if you like that, that would be absolutely wonderful. So I just want to say to you, if you invested $100 in Bitcoin, okay, at this point, and in fact, if you invested $100 at this point, because it's more or less the same, your $100 would be worth $6,862. Looking pretty good, right? If you invested $1,000, your Bitcoin would be worth $68,600. Are you getting my drift? You would literally be able to have one full Bitcoin at the price of today, basically, for that $1,000. But guess what? By 2033, I believe Bitcoin is going to be well above, and I project the 3.3 million mark by 2033. But Kathy Wood predicts 1 million, 1.5 million. Cool. Let's see. I don't know. None of us have a genie in a lamp. I don't know if you do. Give it to me. I'd love to have 3 wishes there. But let's go and have a look at the rainbow chart, because the rainbow chart gives us a little bit more confidence as well. Looking at the updated new Bitcoin rainbow chart from 2020, up to 2035, anything in the blue, anything under the yellow is still incredibly cheap. Bitcoin is still cheap right now. It's busy telling us to accumulate more, okay, and allow ourselves to ride up to the bear cycle. So generally 500 days from the previous halving. Okay, 500 days. What would 500 days be? That's probably halfway in this zone. So let's estimate and say that Bitcoin hits that level, okay, around about the end of this cycle. The end of this cycle could end on potentially 15th of the 2nd of 2026 at approximately at the all-time peak of between $338,000 to $455,000. Holy schmacks. Did you just hear what I said? I don't think you did, because that's still like another 4-5x. Now, the rainbow chart hasn't ever lied in the way that it actually functions and that it works. And bearing in mind that this is the new one. The next bear market bottom of the cycle would also lead us to 500 days beyond, okay, beyond the next halving date, which would take us to a base case and a minimum of $131,600 to $170,000 Bitcoin, which would bring us well above the previous or this current all-time high, okay, by 2x, just by the way. That would be mad epic, because all I can say to you is that you'll never be able to buy. Once Bitcoin goes, whenever Bitcoin is going to turn now, you will never, ever, ever buy Bitcoin at this level again in your life. So right now, this Bitcoin is cheaper than chips. Get yourself some. Okay. Use my links down below. Don't miss out. Don't miss out. All right. So let's come back. Let's pull back here. Let's pull back into our rainbow chart. I want to show you that the rainbow chart predicts by 2036 here, the end of 2036, and I'm pretty sure I said the end of 2033, okay, that the rainbow chart predicts about a 3.4 million to about a 4.4 million dollar Bitcoin. So why the epic would you not want to buy one of these things that's $50,000, $55,000 today, and let this thing ride up to, call it $3.5, $4 million? That is $3,945,000 of pure profit over a 10 to 12 year period. You tell me where you can make that kind of money other than starting your own business and trading like a beast, okay, by just buying something and letting the American government and all other countries across the world print their money and let Bitcoin increase in its value against these worthless digital currencies. You let me know your thoughts down below. So, what actually crashed the market? Well, analyst Benjamin Cowen issues a warning and says it's time for altcoins to collapse against Bitcoin. This, I like Benjamin Cowen. I respect him and his work, but I completely disagree here because they have been bleeding against altcoin, against Bitcoin, and I'm going to prove that to you. That just like things like this are just often based as FUD. So let's not waste another moment here. With the S&P bouncing freaking ridiculously right off of the 200 here, which might I say to you is actually quite an epic level for it to break. And I'm going to say that because we're very lucky we didn't break this level here, because this would take the S&P right down, back down to this level, possibly even the 3,300 level, quite quickly is all I can say, which would bleed this asset down by like 35%. Imagine the S&P having 35% pulled out of it when all we've seen in the blood in the streets recently is this 10% here. That's another 4x. That's ludicrous. I would not want that, and I would definitely not wish that upon any of us. But if there is a financial crisis ahead, perhaps this is what's causing part of the selling. But of course, we have completely erased the entire gains that we have made in the market since April this year on the S&P. That is very scary. Look at where the altcoins are. The altcoins have pulled back, and look how the candle is pulled all the way up. Hopefully it closes in my white box this evening. That would be much appreciated if it could. But the chart that I wanted to show you, and this is why I do disagree with Benjamin Cowen. However, we've got an upward sloping trend potentially forming here. So one bottom, two bottom, and potentially third bottom. So it's going to be a little bit harder for it to crack down here. Yes, there's momentum from the moving averages, but the 20 moving average is kind of slowing down somewhat, and that's why the price action has been still. Now you can see that on the horizontal level, we actually were rejected there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we dipped outside of this level and then pull back up. Isn't it interesting that it is a very beautiful volatile candle? And since 2018, where Bitcoin had this altcoins had this major rally against Bitcoin, okay, then now they bled against Bitcoin all that time. Then they had another pump here, and now they're bleeding ever since here. So this chart is very important. That the moment this chart reaches these levels, you can see here that this actually ends up bleeding. So I would expect this altcoins, so don't be fooled. I would expect altcoins to somewhat at least have a 66%, maybe a 60 to 66% pump against Bitcoin over the next few months. Okay. Now, why I would say that is because we would need to kind of coincide and retest this moving average as well, plus the horizontal resistance of that level. Now, the interesting fact is that would create a higher low, and essentially we would be squeezing out. Would Bitcoin gain more against altcoins, okay, and altcoins die against Bitcoin? That's a very high possibility in this crypto space. Or could we see Bitcoin lose traction to some of the other altcoins because altcoins are bringing actual use case like DePIN, DeFi, all of these? Let me know your thoughts down below. But both scenarios are actually quite very much possible, right? I would like to know what you think there. All right. For me, I would suggest that altcoins would possibly go from where we currently are and exhibit 150%, possibly even a 200% pump against Bitcoin. And I'm going to say that to you this cycle, considering that we have the Ethereum ETF being launched, the Solana spot ETF being launched, and possibly others to come over the next year, 2 years, which would tell us that there would be some liquidity that would be distracted from going into Bitcoin and rather go into these coins, into other altcoins. So moving on from Benjamin Cowen's predictions. The reason why the market crashed today is because we had $1 billion in Bitcoin and crypto liquidated in 12 hours as global asset dump intensifies. That's the simple of it all. That's why I started with the S&P, because the S&P dumped on its ass on Sunday evening there. Okay, look at how it created this gap. It created another gap today. And right now we could potentially, look to close the gap, which would send Bitcoin and all the rest up. This could have basically shorted out the liquidity. Might I just say to you that if I go back and I look at, I wish I could go back to 2008. I'm not sure why this isn't allowing me. I'd like to refresh this for you guys so that I can actually show you. But before I do that, I just want to say to you, nearly $1 billion in liquidations in the last 12 hours, according to CoinGlass. Okay. The US stocks are also down, with the Dow Jones dropping 383 points or about 1%, and S&P futures and Nasdaq are down 1.17 and 2.2% respectively. Disappointing US jobs report has significantly increased, so everyone is expecting the possibility potentially of a recession coming in. Do you believe that we are going to see a recession? And if you do believe, well, this would be the first real recession that Bitcoin has actually experienced. And I'd like to say to you, in 2020, when Bitcoin experienced a recession, it actually pumped right back up. However, it put us back into silver. It's given us silver again. We don't want silver. Let's go and find SPX here for us. I have to show you this because this is actually crucially very, very important to us. Okay, clearly my computer would like some chill out from the live stream. So I'm going to end the video super soon here. So let's get the SPX out. And plus I have some meetings, team meetings with my family. So I got to get going shortly. But, I just wanted to say this has been really such a pleasure being with you here once again during these moments. And with that being said, let's go see 2020. I just want to show you something in correspondence with what's busy happening, just by the way. Okay, so 2020's crash, 35%. The current crash that we have seen in the last 1 month, okay, one freaking month, has already been 10%. So if we were to crash like that, 30%, look at where 30% takes us to in the bigger perspective. 30% would take us to this level, creating a very interesting section of a bouncing off of the same section that we keep bouncing off on this zone right here. So even if we did that, that would make everything else bleed. That could be instantaneously bought back up by money printers just going on and on and on and on. However, don't waste your time. Buy some Bitcoin. Thank you for being here with me on the Crypto Bliss channel. I truly appreciate you very, very much. And I would love to see you on next week's live session. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you know when that comes out. Make sure to check this video out. You can make some crazy gains while the market recovers right now. If you can look at this, we are in recovery phase already. And now, as you can see here, just as my arrow points out in the altcoins are going to gain some market share coming up very soon, possibly up to $300 billion in altcoins very, very soon. And that is excluding Ethereum. So we're going to see massive gains if you've managed to withstand the pressure of these bleeding markets. Okay, because the market doesn't fall forever. Just remember that. And it doesn't go up forever either. So choose a side.